What is good, everyone? Mark here with a very special edition of the Weekday Wagers, where we are going to give you a little Stanley Cup Game 4 preview. And we're going to kind of break down what happened in Game 3, what we saw. And I say we because, I can't do this by myself. Got to have the guy, Robby Hockey. Robby, how the hell are you?
Man, I'm doing great. We had a great Game 3 yet again. Hopefully we can make it 4 straight with some green check marks. Just ready to get this one started.
I like it. You bring that up, and look at that. We've had this has been a hell of a run for this NHL series, and you and I were talking. What a difference a year makes, huh?
I think we learned a little bit from last year.
Yeah, I think so too. I sometimes less is more, and in this case, absolutely. Look at all those green check marks. Can't wait to get into our Game 4 plays that we have. I really like the direction we're going. Before we do that, though, Rob, I got to ask you, Game 3, what did you see? What stood out for you?
Well, Florida played their game, and they played it to a T. They executed everything that they wanted to do. They were greasy. They were grimy. And Edmonton bit. I will say this, and this guy, I can't remember, I'm sorry, he made a good point. Edmonton, if they didn't fight back at the end, they would have been labeled too soft. But they did fight back at the end. Now they're labeled, sore losers. So it's like you're kind of dead in the water whichever way you go. So I think them doing that kind of shows we're not dead yet. We're going to put up a fight. At the same time, you just got beat. In all aspects of the game, you got beat.
And, and to your point, I think, yes, Edmonton's damned if they do, damned if they didn't. It's kind of a no-win situation for them. If they would have shown a little more discipline and a little more fight on the ice, actually, I think this would be a much different – the game would have had a much different outcome and potentially a little bit different series than what we're faced with right now. What stood out for me was the number of penalties. Game 1, we had 4 penalties for Edmonton, 3 penalties for Florida. Close 1-goal game. Game 2, 8 penalties for Edmonton, 6 for Florida. Again, a very, very close game. Game 3, I saw this and my jaw dropped. 21 penalties for Edmonton, 14 penalties for Florida. So, Florida they were getting, 2 for 1 with Edmonton. But it's the opportunities and the chances that those penalties created. And I know that a majority of those penalties came late in the third period when everybody was fighting and, all hell was breaking loose. But it was the first period, second period penalties that really, really, really cut and stopped all the momentum that Edmonton was trying to build up and really put the momentum needle over to the side of Florida. Your thoughts on all the penalties?
Yeah, like you said, that's a crazy stat and this crazy amount of penalties. But you're talking about 2 teams that you don't want to be having to do penalty kills on. Both teams can get you on the power play, and that's one aspect. I think both teams need to kind of lay off and just play the game. Because if you're in the penalty box, you're probably going to get scored on, especially in this series. So, yeah, a little bit more. Let's just play our game. Let's do the right things. Don't get sucked into what Florida does best. They want to complain that Florida doesn't get the calls. They don't get the calls because they don't get caught. They know how to do it. You don't.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm expecting. I think that if Edmonton does not start playing Edmonton hockey, because right now they're trying to play Florida hockey, and they are losing that battle, and it's showing. If they don't get back to playing Edmonton style of hockey, speed, finesse, lots of passing, getting those open shots, this series is done. And not that I would love to see a 7-game series. I just don't think it goes there if Edmonton can't right the ship here in Game 4.
Right. It's 2-1. It's not over by any stretch. You had your bad game if you're Edmonton. Regroup, refocus, watch film. Look what you did right. Look what you did wrong. It's not over. You lose this next one, it's getting closer to being over.
Yeah, and again, it scares me when you have the captain of the Edmonton Oilers come out and say, "You haven't seen our best hockey yet. Stay tuned."
Yeah, it's a dumb comment. You just gotta come out and say we didn't play our game, we got outmatched. It's not a bad thing to just say you got outmatched and outplayed.
Just own it. Just own it.
Hockey. Yeah. If I'm an Edmonton fan, I'd have been highly pissed off. Take that C off him, put it on Leon Draisaitl, then let's see if he plays his best hockey.
Right. Find out what's going to motivate him. Going from game 3 into game 4. Let's keep those green check marks coming. Rob, what are you on?
Yeah, man, look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Evan Rodriguez, 1+ point. Can't believe I got this at plus 104, that FanDuel. He has 12 points in his last 10 games, 8 points overall in his last 10 versus Edmonton, dating back to last year's finals. I actually love that he's on the second line now, because what you're seeing, there's a lot of complaints. Barkov's not getting on the score sheet. You know, Reinhart had a big game, but he's been quiet. What they are not seeing is that they are stopping the big two of Edmonton. They're playing a lot more defense as well as offense, which is leaving the second and third line guys opportunities to get points. So now that he's on the second line with Bennett and Tkachuk, man, I just love Evan Rodriguez in this spot. And if he's going to keep scoring points, I'm going to keep betting him.
I love it. I love that look. I think he has been the undercurrent to the Panthers offense and really has helped with the passing and just really facilitating. It's time for him to start taking some shots, and hopefully he can work himself into some open looks. But I love this, especially at plus money, for him just to get on the score sheet. I love that look.
And you mentioned passing. He has 10 assists in those 10 games. He's not a known scorer. Like you just said, he passes. So if you're wanting even better odds, take his assist at plus 175. It's worth a look as well. I
really like that look a lot. And when I was thinking about my play and looking at everything, as most of you already know, I love focusing on goalies and first periods. I just think that those are really my niche markets, and I've done very well in them. However, the books are starting to catch up and really sharpen those lines on the goalie saves. Bobrovsky's goalie saves are now at, I believe, 26 or 27.5, which is a little high for me, given the fact that Edmonton is only averaging 30 shots on goal when they're on the road. There's not a whole lot of variance, not a lot of room in there. While I do think that Edmonton has to pick up the pace and really bring the offensive pressure to Florida, I am on the Panthers race to 3 goals at minus 102. And honestly, got to ride the hot hand here. And that hot hand belongs to Florida. They have set the tone. Florida has scored 3 goals in all 3 of the games this series. Obviously in game 3, they had the 6-goal outburst. And I think the scoring from Florida and the rate that they're scoring has really sent Edmonton into a full-blown meltdown mode. They have cracked the code on Stuart Skinner, who gets pulled for Calvin Pickard. We don't know who's going to be in goal for Edmonton. I don't care who you put in goal for Edmonton. I just don't care. The Florida Panthers are in Edmonton's head, and I love this spot for them. I think they get out to the 3 goals early. If I remember in all 3 games so far, Florida has won the race to 3 in all 3 games of the series. I love this spot. I see the Oilers are collapsing under the pressure. They've allowed 12 goals in 3 games and a penalty kill that's getting torched. Do I see them getting 85 minutes and penalty minutes like they did in game 3? No, I don't. I think this one's a little bit more well-played and more well-balanced, but I do see Florida getting to that 3rd goal and getting there first. Any thoughts on that one, Rob?
No, I love that. And I love it even more if Stuart Skinner is going to be the goalie that's going to be starting. His road woes are just present. I mean, other than that one game in Dallas, he is not good on the road. If I'm Edmonton, I'd probably go with Pickard, but you're still talking about Dumb and Dumber. You don't really have a great goalie out of either one of them. And Florida, like you said, they get on top first. I know Edmonton scored the first goal, got the momentum in game 1, but I think you're right. I think Florida still bounced back and scored 2 or 3 right after that. And one thing that's not getting talked about enough is the breakaway chances aren't there as much for Edmonton. Once Connor McDavid gets to that blue line, he's just getting mauled, and he's not getting those passes. If I'm Knobloch, I might I know you're basically putting all your eggs in one basket, but you may want to reconsider and put Draisaitl and McDavid on one line to open up for those chances, because it's really those two and then a bunch of misfits. I know Corey Perry's been doing great, but the other guys around him, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins may not be healthy, or he may be healthy. You don't know. You may have to readjust and put those two on the same line.
And to your point, RNH just hasn't looked like RNH as of late. He's a step slower. He's not getting to spots normally where he's filling. I think that he's not 100%. And at what point do you take a step back, or do you say, hey, I'm going to fight through this because this is the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. This is what we all play for. But at what point does it become a detriment to the team?
Yeah, and how bad are they missing Zach Hyman right now? I mean, he's not, he's part of the big guys, but he doesn't get talked about enough. But without having him, you're really suspect now on offense.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you see the scoring continuing, or do you think we have a kind of a close down? All right, everybody kind of regroup, refocus, and we're going to start playing some defensive hockey to keep these things close.
You would think eventually that everybody's going to come down to earth, but I don't, because I think Edmonton's going to have to start trying to get more shots on goal and get more opportunities. And if they do get that and they do score goals, that's also going to make Florida have to start scoring more goals. I'm not changing my betting habits this game. Like I said, if something changes, I'll adjust and do something different for game 5. But for right now, the stats and everything are just there for it to be another over game.
Yeah. And I believe the over right now is at 6.5 is what it opened at. Shop that around. Obviously, maybe you can find a 6. I like the 6 more than the 6.5. But I think that so many goals were scored simply because Florida was in almost a constant state of power play in that third period. And it just kind of, they scored 3 power play goals, or 2 power play goals in the third and 1 in the second. So, I don't think we're going to see that many scoring opportunities. I would lean to the under, especially in a game 4, especially with Edmonton trying to tighten this series up and get it tied to go back to Edmonton. I see them playing a little more defensively and probably not pushing and creating too many opportunities for Florida.
Yeah, another thing, depending on what the score is in the third, if Edmonton's down, say, a goal or 2 goals, you may see them pull their goalie early to try to get a man advantage towards the end, which could open up for a chance for an empty netter. So I don't know, man. I won't play any overs in this game as far as that goes, but I'm not going to change my way I'm betting on it. Until they can show me something different, I just got to ride with what's working.
And to that point, the model, the Justice Stats over at JusticeStatsSports.com, the model has this game so close that even the change in goalies between Skinner and Picard, there is such a minute difference in expected goal production that, again, it almost becomes a moot point as to whoever you put in goal for Edmonton. One is not overly better than the other, and you're forcing Edmonton to play a lot more defense, which obviously is not their style of play. They're used to that, foot on the gas pedal, kind of full throttle. Let's go. We're scoring. Keep up with this type of approach.
Yeah, and speaking of Justice Stat Sports, I know the NHL game's not up there when you go to NHL, but in the parlay picks, I've already put all the solos that I like for tomorrow's game. I've done my analysis and put that on there. I'll republish it tomorrow. Tomorrow's when I'll probably, or whenever game 4 comes, I'll have more as far as, the fun plays, the parlays, the boost. I'll have more on that. There's one guy, and if I'm Sam Bennett and I'm his agent, I'm going to the head coach and saying, look, I have 14 goals in 20 games this playoff. Do you know how many goals Austin Matthews has in the last 5 years?
Oh, no.
14 goals in 43 games. So compare and contrast, I want to get paid if I'm Sam Bennett.
Just when we thought all the Toronto hate had kind of died down a little bit and the dust had settled and I would be allowed to go back into Canada, you want to stoke that fire again for me?
Hey, stats are stats. That's all. Hey, when it comes on my timeline and you hand me a gift, I'm just going to go ahead and present it to everybody.
Yeah, that's Robby Denson, folks. All those folks up in Toronto. So on that, listen, glad that you were able to get the special edition of the weekday wagers. Really looking forward to game 4. Be sure, because we're going to be on a quick turnaround, Friday, we should have the game 5 breakdown, the game 5 preview and a breakdown of what we saw in game 4 as the series turns around and heads back towards Edmonton. But with that, listen, thank you again for joining us. We appreciate all your support, and we look forward to seeing you on the next show. Until then, take care, be kind to one another, and let's cash these tickets.